How's everyone? Welcome back to another pit stop video. Mike here. Today, even though the 2025 season hasn't started yet, we're going to be predicting the 2026 F1 grid. It's going to be fun to look back at this at the end of the year or beginning of next year and see how wrong I was. But I'm pretty confident. I feel good about this. That might be a lie, but I feel good. So how it's going to work is I'm going to start off with the teams where I think there's no changes. Or maybe some obvious changes, and then we'll move over to the tougher ones to predict. So let's go ahead. Starting off with Ferrari, we have no change. So Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. There's no reason to think there would be any change here, I guess, because Leclerc is the golden boy. The Tifosi love him. He's who they want to take that team back to glory. So there's no reason to replace him. And then Lewis Hamilton, 7-time world champion. Ferrari shares went up by 10% when they announced the signing of him. So even though they did spend a lot of money on him, he's still an asset to the team, and he's not going to be far off Leclerc at all. So I can't see any reason to replace either of them. Moving over to my team, McLaren, also no change. We've got Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. These two are really great teammates. They did an interview recently where they spoke about it. Piastri spoke about it, and he said as well they work well together. Like I said in one of my previous videos, there was a little bit of argy-bargy in Monza when Piastri came through, but they got through cleanly. They're both fantastic. Norris is really loved by Zak Brown, obviously their CEO, where Piastri is quite loved by their team principal, so they've got support of the team, and there's no reason to swap them. They're both future world champions, in my opinion, and I think most people would agree with that. Moving over to Mercedes, we've got no change, George Russell and Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Mercedes have put a lot of eggs in Antonelli's basket, so to replace him after just one season would be, I think, quite a surprise. Then George Russell, I know a lot of people have spoken about the idea of Verstappen going there and then Russell being replaced, but I think it's unlikely. Russell is a great driver. I think he's starting to really get there, so if Mercedes can give him the right car, maybe he can contest for a world championship, but there's no reason to replace him unless, look, if Verstappen comes knocking, anyone will move over, but I don't see it happening. I see the lineup staying exactly how it is now. So moving over to the next one, this one's interesting. So Sauber, or Stake, Kick, whatever the flip F1 team you want to call them, are obviously changing over to Audi. Like I said in my first video, there's questions about whether they actually really believe in the project. The Volkswagen Group are struggling a bit financially, but I can't see anything changing. And they've got a good lineup going into next year, or this year, sorry, with Bortoleto and the Hulk, Nico Hülkenberg. So I can't see that changing. I'm predicting it to stay exactly the same. I'm personally, and I've mentioned this before, I'm quite a fan of Gabby, so I think he's going to do quite well. He's going to impress us this season. I still think Hülkenberg, obviously not being a rookie by any measure, is going to beat him. But I think it will be reasonably close. And I think Bortoleto is going to maybe not surprise us, but I think he's going to do really well. Back-to-back Formula 3, Formula 2 world champion. No reason to think that he won't do well. So yeah, Audi need a stable pair of hands, which they get in Hülkenberg. Experienced, good racecraft. He knows exactly what to do. His qualifying was really good last year. And then, somebody that they can work on in the future to take the team to championships. And I think they've got that in Gabby. And also Gabby's going to learn a lot from Hülkenberg. So I think it's a really good partnership. Almost what the Magnussen-Mick Schumacher-Haas partnership could have been. But unfortunately it wasn't. So then moving over to Williams, also no change. Albon and then the Chile. So Albon was the one I was actually kind of not sure about. I wasn't sure if I would say that he'd still be there or not. I think it all depends. If Albon gets destroyed by Sainz, okay, well, maybe there's still not much reason to replace him because he's still a good driver. If he beats Sainz, then he's definitely still going to be there. So I think it's a good lineup. I think James Vowles keeps talking about it being the best lineup on the grid, which it's not. But it might be the best lineup in the midfield. And if their car doesn't take a step forward in 2026, at least they've still got two capable drivers. I still believe that the Mercedes power unit is going to be the best with the new regulations that are coming in 2026. And Williams are obviously powered by Mercedes, so there is a good chance that they could be good. And I don't think Sainz would leave unless, again, like Red Bull or Mercedes come knocking. I don't think he would leave because there's maybe a good opportunity to see where they are in 2026. So now we move over to Red Bull, and I've also predicted no change. So sorry that maybe it's a bit boring that there's no changes yet, but there is an asterisk here. So I do believe that Max Verstappen and Liam Lawson will start the 2026 season. They will line up together in the first race and they'll do the first race together. But I don't think it's going to be many races until Liam Lawson gets replaced. And there's a couple of reasons for it. First, I don't think he's going to be that close to Max, and I don't think he's going to be that much better than Perez. Maybe controversial, but that's just what I believe. Then there's another driver that I think that Red Bull might want to get up to that seat more than Liam Lawson, which takes us over straight to the next one, Racing Bulls. And here we have a change. So now we've got Isaac Hadjar and Arvid Lindblad. So this is the most interesting one for me. Yuki Tsunoda is not going to race for Racing Bulls in 2026. He's a Honda driver. They've obviously leaving the Honda partnership. His best chance at staying in that family was getting the call up to race next to Max Verstappen, but that's not going to happen. Obviously, it didn't happen, and I think it's unlikely that Lawson would be replaced mid-season with Tsunoda. So Tsunoda obviously gone. Hadjar, Helmut Marko loves him, so I can't see him going. He almost won the F2 championship. I'm not too sure how I feel about him, but yeah, I can't see him being removed. I know they're brutal on rookies, but if they do get rid of Hadjar, then they've got a little bit of a problem with the rookies again. So maybe it's best to leave him in and let him be almost like the Yuki Tsunoda, the sort of the model for what all the other drivers will be compared against. So if they're better than Hadjar, then they've got a chance of stepping up. And then Arvid Lindblad. So he hasn't even started the F2 season, and he's already got the 40 super license points that he needs to compete in Formula One. He just won the Toyota Racing Series. He's got a lot of potential, and Red Bull seem to be very, very much trying to aggressively move him toward Red Bull. Maybe the Kimi Antonelli kind of story or the Max Verstappen kind of story. And I think that the real goal for Red Bull is actually to get him into the Red Bull. So he is not going to be in the car next season, this season for 2025, but he will start the 2026 season. And I think, just maybe an extra little prediction here, that at some point Red Bull will replace Liam Lawson with Lindblad in his rookie year, very much like the Alex Albon kind of situation, but hopefully for Lindblad's sake, hopefully a little bit more successful. Alpine, we've got a sort of change. We've got Gasly and Colapinto. Like I said in my first video, I think Colapinto is going to replace Doohan during this season. So it's not going to be sort of not a fully new driver because you'll have some 2025 time. But Colapinto, they spent too much money on him. His contract is too long and he's too good just to let sit on the bench. And then Gasly is their golden child. I mean, he's the French man for the French team. The only other extra little prediction I might put in there is that Alpine logo and the name might all change. I do think that by 2026 they will become high tech. But for now, that is what I predict for Alpine's lineup. Then Aston Martin, and we have Alonso and Yuki Tsunoda. So, okay, immediately everyone's thinking, what the hell am I talking about? Because Lance Stroll has got a lifetime contract, and so I don't think it's a case of Stroll is going to be unceremoniously dropped from the team, like Ricciardo was, for example, from Racing Bulls, or at that time VCARB. What I think it is Aston Martin are putting a lot of effort into WEC, the World Endurance Championship. And I think that they'll want to do well there. So it makes a really good PR move to say, okay, Lance Stroll is going to move over and he's going to lead our WEC team. And, Lance is a capable driver. He's not the best Formula One driver, but maybe he'd be good at WEC. So I think they'd use that, and there'd be pressure from the shareholders, maybe from Adrian Newey as well, to try and get, Lance out of that seat. And Honda, they say that they won't put any influence on the team over the drivers, but I think they might try and get Yuki Tsunoda in there. So yeah, that's my prediction. Lance Stroll last season, this year. Hopefully. Anyway, moving on swiftly. Now we have something I think is even more interesting than me giving Lance Stroll the boot, and that's Haas. So we have Ocon and Hirakawa. So yeah, Ocon I think is going to be great for Haas. He's valued by Haas. I think he's going to be happy there. It's going to be a much more chilled environment. So I don't see anything happening with him. But Hirakawa, so this is where the prediction gets interesting. So I think Toyota are going to increase their influence in Haas, and I think Haas are going to want more of a partnership with them. And I think maybe that will move over to Haas becoming a works team. So becoming the Toyota Haas Formula One team and having engines being produced. So then there's going to be strong influence from Toyota to get their drivers in. Again, a lot of these car manufacturers say that they won't do that, but they definitely will. Hirakawa obviously is Toyota Gazoo Racing. He did do some practice time in the McLaren last year, as well as the Alpine. In Haas. So he is experienced. He's also a 2-time World Endurance Champion, and he also won the 2022 24 Hours of Le Mans. So he's a capable driver, and yeah, Haas will want their influence in that team. So you might be asking yourself now, if Ocon and Hirakawa are in Haas, what happened to Ollie Behrman? I thought Ollie Behrman was a future world champion, going to race for Ferrari. Well, he's not off the grid completely. He's just moved over to the new Ferrari team, or Ferrari power team, Cadillac. So Cadillac, I've put Oliver Behrman because Behrman is going to be in a Ferrari-powered car until he gets called up to Ferrari, which will probably be when Lewis Hamilton decides to retire. If Haas are going to move more toward Toyota and Cadillac are going to be powered by Ferrari engines until, what did they say, 2028 or so, I think it's a good opportunity for Ferrari to put him in that team. So yeah, I think just move away from Toyota and just stay with Ferrari. He wants to be a Ferrari driver as well. And then Colton Herta, I think everyone kind of just assumes that this is going to happen. IndyCar driver, he's loved in IndyCar. He's also he's linked with the Cadillac team already, and there's been rumors about him coming to Formula One for a long time. He's tried to get into Formula One. I know he wants to be there, and a lot of people want him there. So it just makes sense. This is the first proper opportunity, and I believe Cadillac will do everything they can to get him to essentially lead their Formula One charges. So yeah, I think that's going to be quite interesting. I did my predictions for the 2025 championship. So 2026 championship predictions will only happen at the end of the year. But there's some interesting lineups here, some good changes. If I had to say which lineup out of these I'm most excited for, obviously it's McLaren. But I guess maybe more, unbiased, probably Cadillac, new team. I mean, there's 11 teams now. I'm really excited. I want there to be 12, but it's a good step forward. Behrman and Herta, I think, are going to be a very interesting combination. And I'm really excited to see where Behrman ends up going. So yeah, we'll see at the end of the year how wrong this was, or maybe I got a couple right. But thanks everyone for watching the video. I was very excited about this one, and I hope that you guys all enjoyed it. Please don't forget to subscribe and like and share the video. Yeah, we're gonna go places here together, guys. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a lucky day.